Let's go, everyone. How are you guys doing? Good morning. Today is July 3rd. It is Monday. Welcome back to another Simply Bitcoin. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, and memetic warfare. We bring on Bitcoiners from all around the world, from the biggest names to the everyday Bitcoiner. We have them all, and we will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Of course, as you can tell, Nico's away. I was going to say he's on vacation, but he is currently in travel en route to a Bitcoin conference in Canada. So he just got invited. I think it was a few days ago. Quickly made some rearrangements so that we can get you guys the show so that he can go make an appearance. But the show don't stop. Anyways, I really want to give some context on today's show because I was having a convo with my co-host that I will introduce in 1 second over the weekend. And he hinted on the genius of Simply Bitcoin. His words, not mine. And it was on the idea of funneling the corporate press, funneling the news through the Bitcoin lens, and then showing the cracks in the system, showing the lies and hypocrisies of the gaslighting corporate press. And of course, doing it with flair and always with that orange pill perspective. And just doing our best to try to quantify the number of people that see what we see, that know what we know, that believe what we believe, because we believe in one simple thing. The answer is simply Bitcoin. The problem is clear as day. And anyone that is awake, I think, can point out to what the problem is. You can't trust the Fed or you'll end up dead. Hyperbolically, of course, YouTube. I know it's in the first couple of minutes, so you don't dock us yet. But you guys know, as the Bitcoin audience, since the Simply Bitcoin audience, that traditional finance is built on a shaky ground, and the safest assets in the world are not safe at all. We know this. I think the Fed knows this. I think all central bankers and the fiat cabal knows this. And we know that they know this, and yet they still continue to try to gaslight us to, make sure that the corporate press gives them some air and some cover so that they can continue the confidence game. But Bitcoiners may be right. We may have the answers. We may, know where we're going to be in the future, but there's still a lot of course correction to be had, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And like I said, I couldn't have picked a better guest co-host today, because one of his articles went absolutely viral over the weekend on Zero Hedge. And of course, if you don't know who I'm talking about the Mike Hobart on today's show. One of his articles went viral on Zero Hedge, and he's basically saying exactly what we say every single day, but he's a writer. And we actually dropped this on our Substack first, and it went nuclear. I think you said this morning it got 100K views already. Like, let's go.
Yeah, as of I think 20 minutes ago, it broke the 100,000 views on Zero Hedge, which I'm pretty impressed with. So I'm happy with that, man. And I'm even more happy that I published it through Simply first, just because maybe we didn't get the the gravity of the weight that Zero Hedge did, but I can at least say that we ran it first, So I'm excited for it.
We break the articles on Simply Bitcoin and they go viral on Zero Hedge. Whatever we need to do to get the information out there. And then of course, Nico loves throwing curveballs at me when I host this, and we have a guest today, and I'm super excited for our guest because I kind of ran him down on the show today, and I think you guys are going to love what we're going to be saying on today's show. Anyways, we got G Money Pepe of Rug Pull Radio on Rumble. Nico just made an appearance. How you doing this morning? I'm excited for this.
Shade-a-lay, my brothers, shade-a-lay.
Let's go. All right, man. How about tell the people what do you do before we get into all the news and numbers today, so they get a little flavor of what you're about?
Yeah, so I host Rug Pull Radio. We're on Thursday nights on Rumble. We've been kicked off like every platform back in the day. We are kind of like the conspiracy Bitcoiners, if you want to call us. And so what we do, we go a little bit deeper, and we connect Bitcoin to Q to a plan to literally save the world. Digital 1776 is upon us. Okay, we are now the day before 4th of July. There is revolution in the air. This is a peaceful revolution. We are destroying their system block by block without firing a shot. And so we are an amazing time to be alive, and we just kind of get in this esoteric realm with rare pepes and some other stuff. And so that's kind of what we do.
Love it. Well, I think our audience and your audience may overlap. But hey, we're still trying to survive on YouTube, so
we won't get too crazy.
Yeah, let's keep it a little PG over here. We got some training wheels on. But anyways, guys, let's get into this. I think you guys are going to really enjoy today's show because it just shows that we're right, we stay winning. Bitcoin stays winning, and it's just so beautiful to be here, especially the day before 4th of July. This is why we do what we do, and this is why we're Simply Bitcoin. Anyways, let's get into the numbers, guys.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Brought to you by NODL. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse because now you can run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today.
Shouts out to everyone in the chat, first and foremost. And of course, we are talking about Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, July 25th to 27th, literally a year away. But we're telling you this now because I know you guys complain about the price, and these are the rock bottom prices before they raise their prices. Get out to Nashville. You need to go to the Mecca, hang out with all the Bitcoiners, hang out with all your favorite Bitcoiners. And this is the rock bottom price right now. Get yourself a general admission ticket for $299. And if you use the code Simply, you get even more of a discount. If you want a job, go to the industry day, get the industry pass. And if you're a whale out there, this is the rock bottom price. Get all the amenities out there, and we will see you in Nashville. I can't wait to take over Nashville. I haven't been to Nashville yet, and I have a bunch of friends that live out there, so I'm excited to get there. Maybe I'll get there sooner, but I'll definitely be there next year. I hope to see you guys. Okay, first and foremost, let's get to the numbers. We're on Clark Moody's dashboard, and of course, we always start with the only date that matters. The only time that really matters is the block height. We're at 797,026. The Moscow time, aka the sats per dollar, aka how much your dollar is worth, is currently at 3,225 sats per dollar, which means the Bitcoin price is holding up at 31K. Let's go, guys. I know you saw the dump. I know everyone's freaking out, but the Bitcoin price is holding steady. And I've been saying for a while, I think we are in the beginning of the bull run. But hey, I know it's Monday. I'm not here to speculate on the Monday morning with you guys, but the total percentage issued of Bitcoin is currently at 92.47%. That is of all Bitcoins ever to be created. The current market cap in fiat price is $602.2 billion. Remember how long we were fluctuating around 500 billion? Well, we're moving on up, guys. And the realized monetary inflation taking fiat currencies to school at 1.75%. And I think this one is my favorite metric as of now. For the meantime, the Bitcoin versus gold market cap, we're both in the hard money game, and we are coming for that gold market cap right now at 4.76%. The total capacity in Lightning is 5,428.71 BTC. And I guess there's an issue here on Clark Moody's dashboard, and I don't have reachable Bitcoin nodes. So maybe someone can hit me in the chat and update me on what's going on. The hash rate the last 90 days is 359.0 exahashes, and the pending fees is 2.8 BTC. Well, it looks like Bitcoin is working, and the wizards didn't break Bitcoin. Anyways, on today's show, I really want to touch on the idea about, like I said in the beginning, as a Bitcoiner, I know this debate happens so much constantly. Like, how many Bitcoiners are really in the world? How many people really get what's going on? And you guys know my meme. I look at the Bitcoin price as a real-time metric of people's understanding of Bitcoin, of what we do here as Bitcoiners. And obviously, most people don't understand Bitcoin because it's only at 31K. And if you understood that Bitcoin is freedom, as G Money was saying, digital 1776, you think Bitcoin would be a lot higher now. As far as I'm concerned, it is so undervalued. It is ridiculous. But anyways, we have Mitchell Hotto over here, and he's doing Satoshi's work by trying to quantify how many Bitcoin maxis are out there. Of course, caveat, PSA, these numbers are probably just there, no one knows. So first and foremost, before I get someone in the chat that's like, actually, bro, this is way off, and like, there's no way you can even quantify this. This is just a rough idea, and it's back to what we always say. And I know I'm a cliche Bitcoiner. I know know we're the cliche Bitcoin channel here. It's like, you're so early, guys. You're so early to this Bitcoin game. I'm still convinced that all of us are if not the early adopters, we are still the pioneers of this Bitcoin network. As my friend Brandon Gentile always says, we're not even at that 3%. And the numbers here, they may even be overinflated, are even smaller. So I'm not going to go through the whole thread. I'm just going to give you kind of a taste and then his final numbers. And then we'll talk about this and how this relates to the news story of the day. Anyways, we got Mitchell Huddle here and goes, there's 1,007,530 unique addresses that hold 1+ BTC. People have been sharing this statistic and claiming 1 million people own a whole Bitcoin. That is wrong and misleading. Unique addresses with 1 Bitcoin does not equal unique people with 1 BTC. This is obviously something we say here on the channel all the time, but the point of this thread was, what's the real number of whole coiners out there? And of course, this is just to emphasize not only the importance, but the true value of digital scarcity and what this means for the world, especially in a world where they're printing trillions of dollars. They're going to continue to print trillions of dollars. And as we show in the news, it's 11th grade math, and they can't not print the money because they're on the verge of blowing up their own system. Anyways, let's get into this thread. So Mitchell Hotta goes, it is possible for a single XPub to generate 4,294,967,296 unique public addresses. To maximize user privacy, the default setting for 99% of wallets is to generate a new public address each time you receive funds. Talk about this all the time, guys. Most whales aren't going to hold all their BTC in a single address. They're going to have multiple addresses that have 1+ BTC. You guys know this. Based on Glassnode data, the rough estimate for total Bitcoin users is 36.8 million. This seems a bit high, but hey, let's get into the math. This estimate is based on known exchange addresses plus UTXO consolidation. There's roughly 1.15 billion unique public addresses on the network. And he does some math here. 1.15 billion divided by 36.8 million equals roughly 31.5 addresses per user. This is his given. So the median number of addresses per user is likely much higher than 31 when you consider there's likely many people who have only generated 1 or 2 addresses, bringing down the average. But we'll use the average because it's the best we can do. To get the most accurate estimate for the total number of whole coiners, we need to account for 2 factors: a single user controlling multiple addresses and a single user controlling multiple addresses with, what is this? More than 1 BTC whose sum is greater than or equal to 1 BTC. Dividing the number of addresses with 1+ BTC by the estimated number of addresses per users accounts for A, which is equal to about 31,985. This accounts for whole coiners that possess multiple addresses with 1 or more BTC. Based on that roughly 31 estimated addresses, we can assume addresses with more than 0.0317 BTC and less than 1 BTC as belonging to whole coiners. So 1 divided by 31.5 equals 0.0317. To reiterate, we assume the average user controls 31.5 addresses, so 31.5 addresses with 0.0317 equals 1 BTC. I don't have access to the data that specific, but fortunately, 0.0317 BTC is just under $1,000. So you can use the number of addresses with over $1,000 as close approximate. Then we subtract out the number of addresses with a full BTC that we've already accounted for. We got 7,408,819 minus 1,007,530 equals 6,401,289. I know a lot of math. There's a lot of math here, but the point is, we'll get to the point here. Then we divide that by the 31.5 addresses per user, which equals 203,215. This is the estimated number of whole coiners based on users controlling multiple addresses with less than 1 whole BTC. Seems very high. I agree. Lastly, we can sum our 2 numbers. So you add those 2 numbers, we got 235,200. This seems to me, as like I said, much more likely number of whole coiners given the current status of Bitcoin adoption and the difficulty for the average person to accumulate an entire coin at current prices. Of course, this is just an estimate and we can never know for sure, but the point of this is just 0.002% of the global population. Again, everyone in the chat is basically saying what you are saying in your head right now. There is no way there's over 200,000 Bitcoin maxis out there in the world. Maybe there's something around like 50,000, 100,000, maybe it's less. But the point still stands, guys. You are so early to this Bitcoin game, and it's incredible to me that people think that we're late to this. especially when I use the heuristic that the Bitcoin price is a real-time metric of people's understanding of what we're doing here. And even within Bitcoiners, even within people that I think understand Bitcoin, don't fully understand the significance of what Bitcoin means, not only for you individually, but for society at large. And me and Mike were having this conversation earlier. I don't think you guys are bullish enough when you understand that the coins you are holding right now will, in fact, become generational wealth. Like CK always says, 37 sats for generational wealth. Well, I'm not as bullish as CK, guys, but I am almost convinced that if you can ride out the stack that you have today and you don't sell your Bitcoin, you stay solvent, like my buddy Vikingo always says, you stay humble, you stack sats, you are not only going to be pleasantly surprised, but your family is going to be living at an incredible means that you can't even imagine today, because Bitcoin is ushering in freedom. This is the project that we're doing here. As number goes up, freedom goes up. And this is all part of the journey. This is all part of the positive feedback loop. And as we enter this bull run, I'm just so excited to see freedom go up, with number go up, because people will start to learn the importance of Bitcoin as everyone else starts to jump on the train. Anyways, I heard Mike's takes this morning. So let's go to G Money first, and then we'll get Mike to put a bow tie on this.
Yeah, so you guys are the new elite, right? We are the new elite. We just don't know it yet, okay? And so the number, right? The number is probably the least important factor when it comes to Bitcoin, right? We're in it for the revolution. We're in it to free humanity from the slave masters of the fiat cartel. And so if you understand, right, that this is not just an investment, right? This is literally protecting your DNA. This is protecting your freedom from those that want to make you poor and own nothing. This is literally our last battle, right? Because if we don't win this battle for freedom with the monetary foundation of Bitcoin, we are slaves, your children are slaves for the next 10,000 years, right? And so being on the eve of 4th of July, I think this is a great opportunity to understand Bitcoin is not just an investment. Bitcoin is a weapon. Bitcoin is here to protect you. Bitcoin is your shield. And so understand all those different layers, right? AI is coming, right? Aladdin is coming. BlackRock is coming. All these people want to make you poor, okay? You need to stand up for them. You need to learn self-custody. And yeah, that's kind of my rant on that so far.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. All right, Mike, jump in.
Well, I was going to say that one thing that I think is difficult for anybody is being on the cutting edge of a new wave of adoption of something. Because I can't imagine what it would have been like for like the absolute earliest days for internet before like it got to the point of like average families being capable of using it. Like, 'cause I don't know about you guys, but like I thought podcasts were overplayed like 2 or 3 years ago, and we're just now getting to the point of like every average individual, every normie that we know of is trying to host their own podcast now, and like we're probably years away from even that being oversaturated. So like, when it comes to this whole Bitcoin thing, when we're talking about disrupting and shaking up the very foundations of money and economics itself, like this is when we say like we're still early, like I think we're even underestimating how early we actually are. Like this is likely going to be like how Odell talks about like many decades, 50, 100 years out, as far as like before we actually get to the point of being truly mainstream and hyper Bitcoinized. Like I don't like G Money just, I don't have much else to say beyond that. Like this like, as far as bullishness goes, like I know like I have a very stoic demeanor, but like it's hard to actually adequately get as excited as I think we should be justified in.
Yeah. G Money, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, because I know me and Mike have kind of talked about this, and I say it all the time. Like, I'm pretty convinced that I will be a Bitcoin rhetorician for the rest of my life. Like, I feel like I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, and I am just in my early 30s. So what's your thoughts on this? Do you think this is going to be a long-term, multi-decade project, or maybe we're just not bullish enough and it might happen a lot quicker than we even imagine?
Well, I mean, I think that depends on what the enemy plans to do, right? I think of this game theory. Okay, so the enemy has always had the infinite player advantage, right? They have always had the money printer, which is given them infinite player. What do? They do boom, bust, war, reset every time, right? Boom, bust, war, reset, because they have to reset their financial system every so often. And so what Bitcoin does, it puts absolute scarcity on their time. Okay, so the infinite player who just wants to keep the game going, right? We now have put a time clock on their game. They no longer get the game genie. Remember the game genie when we were kids, right? Like you could just fly all over and kill everybody. That's what the Cabal has had for the entire time of this whole experiment, right? As a species. And so that experiment ended as soon as Bitcoin came onto the scene, right? We have put a time clock on when they have to win the game. Their infinite player has now turned into a finite player where their only option is to win the game. They have to win this game with the CBDC. If they do not win the game, they lose forever. So I like to think about it in more of a game theory type of scenario, to where we have ended their infinite energy and now put a clock on it.
Oof. I love that. I love that. I'm glad I asked you that question. All right. Well, on that same vein, we're gonna lay out the infinite money printer in the game and where it's going, because again, what do we do here all the time is we combat the corporate press BS. And Mike saw this thread. We missed it last week, and I think we have to cover it today because, again, it's just it's more gaslighting by the Fiat Times, and it's our favorite thing to do, is just continue to bring the receipts about how not only they don't have control, but they have to gaslight you into believing the confidence game. So let's jump into this news, guys.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream Jade today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin.
All right, guys, before I get into the news segment, of course, go check out the orangepillapp.com. Make sure you're meeting up, hanging out with Bitcoiners, creating Bitcoin events in your area. Stack friends that stack sats, because as you can tell, we are moving into unprecedented times, and you want people, like-minded individuals around you that also get what game is being played, because the average person is lost in the wilderness, to put it nicely. And the Orange Pill app is a great way to connect with other Bitcoiners. Again, you can get on there. You can even send zaps now. So they're leveling up, guys, and I'm super hyped to be a part of it. Thank you to every single one of you guys that gives us a message on there. I do my best to try to get there at least once a week. It takes me a lot of energy to get through all the comments, but appreciate it, guys. Love you. I'll get to all you guys soon. Anyways, before we go on, you know me, I love memes. I think memes are one of the best ways to get this information across. And before I see my buddy Copper Nixon in there troll me about the fact that there's like an altcoin valve in here, let's just look at the big picture here, guys. So the reason I brought this meme up, and Tor de Meester was the first one to post this, and he was kind of framing this in the idea of altcoins being, or shitcoins being, a release for the Bitcoin valve. But I really want to angle this more on the idea, if you look into the left side, there's a dollar bill. This is the idea of Bitcoin being the escape valve, the pressure release of the U.S. Treasury, of the traditional financial world. And as you can tell, or as Greg Foss always says, they're in a rock and a hard place. It's 11th grade math. They have to continue to print money, and it's only a matter of time until a black swan event implodes the system from within. We saw this happen last year with the SVB debacles, and they always try to blame it on Bitcoin. Well, it's very interesting that we got this article from the Fiat Times, and you can only imagine what banks they were talking about, but you still don't know what I'm talking about. So just to cover this meme here a little bit, we got the dollar system here, and there's a pressure valve, and it goes into Bitcoin, and there's another valve that goes into Bitcoin mining, and then one of the pressure releases going into shitcoins, and then again, it kind of can come back into the fiat bucket. Well, look what we have over here at the Fiat Times, guys. This dropped what was it? The 28th. So is that Thursday? think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And this went under our radar until basically this morning when we saw this thread go up and we saw this article and we realized, oh man, we had missed something because they are saying the quiet part out loud and they are doing the corporate press BS that we know they do so well. Anyways, here's the title on the Financial Times, and it goes, big U.S. banks would lose $541 billion in doomsday scenario, predicts the Fed. Annual stress test shows lenders with more than enough capital to weather economic catastrophe. Well, it sounds all well and good if you believe them. Anyways, the largest U.S. banks would lose $541 billion in a hypothetical doomsday economic scenario, but still have more than enough capital to absorb the losses, according to annual stress tests conducted by the Federal Reserve. The passing grades given by the Fed on Wednesday to banks including JP Chase and Goldman Sachs lent support to claims from Wall Street executives and regulators that systemically important banks can withstand heavy losses. The results come just months after three of the largest bank failures in U.S. history, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic, triggered a regional banking crisis. Smaller banks that have come under pressure from investors following the collapse of SVB, including PacWest and Comerica, were not included in the stress test. Today's results confirm that the banking system remains strong and resilient, Fed Vice Chair for Supervision Michael Barr said in a statement. In a nod to the recent crisis, Barr warned the stress tests were only one way to measure that strength and said regulators should remain humble about how risks can arise. The Fed stress tests are an annual exercise required under the post-2008 crisis Dodd-Frank financial regulations that gauge whether banks' loss-absorbing capital ratios would remain above minimum requirements in the event of an economic catastrophe. This year, banks needed to show they could withstand unemployment rising to a peak of 10%, commercial real estate prices plunging 40%, housing prices declining 38%, and short-term interest rates falling to almost zero. Of the 23 banks tested, Deutsche Bank's U.S. subsidiary suffered the biggest capital hit, followed by UBS America. And you can see a chart here for the YouTube visuals about, what banks would suffer the most. But I really like the very end of this article because I think this is one of the most telling aspects of the fiat times. And again, you have to know what you're looking for in the corporate press to understand where they're telling you the sauce and where they're trying to gaslight you. Anyways, the reforms of the post-Dodd-Frank period have achieved the goals of a stronger, safer banking system, the FSF said in a statement. U.S. regulators are also expected to expand the new Basel rules to include mid-sized banks of similar size to Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic. The list of banks subject to the Fed's stress tests have come under intense scrutiny in the wake of SVB's demise due to its exposure to outsized interest rate risk stemming from its stock of unhedged bond holdings. Under the current rules, which were imposed in 2019, and this is the kicker, guys, following legislation that loosened regulations on mid-sized lenders, SVB's first official, remember Silicon Valley Bank's the one that just went under a couple months ago, first official stress test would not have taken place until 2024. However, even if SVB had been subject to the Fed stress test, it might have passed because the scenario did not model the kind of sharply higher interest rates that sparked the lender's downfall. Couldn't make up, guys. I couldn't make this up. And if TLDR, for those that don't understand the corporate press jargon, they're basically saying all models are broken and we can't account for a black swan. But hey, if you don't account for the black swan, the system is perfectly fine and systemic bank is going to be okay, guys. Just trust us, bro. Don't verify. Just trust us, bro. And on the same news, and this is the news that Mike retweeted this morning, which really caught our ears to this. Bank of America nurses $100 billion paper loss after big bet in bond market. So just to TLDR this because it's a long article. Bank of America is bearing the cost of decisions made 3 years ago to pump the majority of $670 billion in a pandemic-era deposit inflows into debt markets at a time when bonds traded at historically high prices and low yields. The moves left Bank of America the second largest U.S. bank by assets with more than $100 billion in paper losses at the end of the first quarter, according to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The sum far exceeds unrealized bond market losses reported by its largest peers. Now, let me get into the kickers here because there's a few. Now that yields have risen and bond prices have fallen, the value of Bank of America's portfolio has plunged. By contrast, JP Chase and Wells Fargo, the nation's first and third largest banks respectively, each had about $40 billion in unrealized bond market losses, while fourth largest Citigroup paper loss losses were $25 billion. The losses of Bank of America accounted for a fifth of the $515 billion in total unrealized losses. Anyways, there's a bunch of stuff here, but if I can find Silicon Valley Bank, which both boosted security holdings and lent to money-losing startups, is emblematic of how the strategy has backfired. A bank run torpedoed SVB in March, sparked by an announcement that it had lost $1.8 billion in selling parts of its security portfolio. Bank of America has $370 billion in cash and is not facing any Silicon Valley Bank-like liquidity crunch. In fact, Bank of America and other big banks have received inflows of deposits from customers of regional lenders. Most home loans are paid off far earlier than their 30-year term. Anyways, guys, I'm not going to read the whole thing because the point of the matter is they basically, all banks are doing the same thing as Silicon Valley banks. As you know, as a Bitcoiner, all banks are insolvent. But hey, as long as they can keep the confidence game going, they will keep that confidence game going. And I wanted to bring up the Balaji and Marty Bent podcast. If you guys haven't watched this, it's a 4-hour marathon. I highly recommend you guys go watch this. But the TLDR is essentially all banks are in a corner. And if you trust the Fed by buying treasuries, you're going to end up dead, as I said in the beginning. And everyone has trusted the Fed and is balls deep in U.S. treasuries, guys. Like, this is the scenario that we're in right now. And they can paper this over as much as possible. They can try to convince the average person that the system is good, but Bitcoin is the pressure valve here, guys. This is the opt out of this madness. This is why we as a Bitcoin show, yes, I know we got a little macro today. We're talking about US treasuries and everyone's like, who cares, bro? Like, this doesn't affect me. I'm a Bitcoiner. I have my Bitcoin in cold storage. What's this mean, bro? It is essentially what we would continue to tell you guys, and what G Money says and what Mike constantly writes about is the fact that the system is on shaky ground. It is so fragile that they are in overdrive to try to get you into a CBDC system. And guys, this is July. This is our first show of July. And we know that the FedNow system is about to allegedly get dropped this month, guys. So they are pushing extra hard for the CBDC because they know that their system is on its last leg. And of course, they can kick the can down the road for as long as they're able to get away with printing money. And of course, as long as the corporate press can gaslight you into believing that the system is strong. Remember what it says in the beginning of the white paper, guys. The traditional financial system runs well as long as there is trust in the system. And it only takes one moment for that trust to break. And we are seeing the cracks in the system constantly. And we saw them in the Bitcoin space last year. We saw it in 2008 in traditional financial world. We saw this during the pandemic. Well, let's just see how long they can keep kicking this down the road. But you need to protect yourself because they're saying the quiet part out loud. If this is what they're concerned about, this is what they're putting in their own media, just imagine what they're saying behind the scenes. And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one way to protect yourself. It is the escape valve. It is the safety boat that is Bitcoin. So if you're still on the sideline, guys, if you still think Bitcoin price is going down, you might want to get some just in case. Like, there's no time to be sitting on the sidelines right now, whether it's in treasuries, whether it's in cash. You need to have a small allocation of Bitcoin to protect yourself from this stuff because the clown world is running off steam at this point and the wheels are coming off. And me and Mike were having this conversation. I keep saying that we are at peak clown world, and it just keeps, crescendoing even more. So protect yourself now as we enter this bull market and the world gets even crazier and crazier around you. And just stop listening to the corporate press for once, man. Anyways, Mike, let me get your ideas on this, and then we'll get G Money's because I know you have a little more intimate relationship with treasuries and what's going on behind the scenes. So what's your thoughts on all this, bro?
Well, so the interesting thing that I hope that listeners and viewers picked up on when you were talking about the two different articles is the first one, a very, very glaring in their strategy as far as the argument goes, is that if you were listening to the stipulations of their modeling, one of the big points was that as long as interest rates are at zero, it's like, but we're not in that environment. Like Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve has made it very clear that interest rates are not going to zero for quite a long time at this point. So meaning just in that first article, if you're aware of that very real relationship, that model's already broken. And that was the model that they were basing their argument off of, like banks being like okay and solvent, being able to weather the catastrophe. So like, take with that whatever you will, but I know what kind of conclusion I'm coming to with that. And like that's to the point of like you just said, is like if you think that that Bitcoin, like you don't even have to buy into the whole hyper Bitcoinization thing. It's just understanding that Bitcoin is different from like this entire relationship of this financial system that we're talking about. It's like you're a little behooved to have some. Like you'd be. I'm sorry, but you'd be a bit of an idiot if you didn't have at least some to like just as like a safety mechanism. And to echo like your point, and then the points that like Vikingo and I make is it's like get some Bitcoin, stay solvent, and survive. Like that's all it's about. And when you're, and then like just to briefly plug like the article on talking about all these macro points is that like we can actually see the way out. Like it's a relatively simple way out as far as just like making sure everybody, like as many people as possible, responsibly get a little bit of Bitcoin in their hands to protect themselves, and then like start getting outside of the education Overton window. Make sure you guys are solvent in the sense of being resilient with your health and everything. Raising strong families is like, then all this, and then everything else is just a matter of surviving, providing good value and good service, and then we come out the other side like stronger than ever.
Oof. Let's go. It gets dark and then we just get bullish. Anyways, G Money, what's your thoughts on all this?
Well, it's funny because if you go back to like 2020, right, the Federal Reserve actually reduced the reserve requirements for banking institutions to 0.0%, right?
Yep.
The reserve ratio of the FDIC, right? How are they going to ensure all of these deposits when these banks start collapsing, right? And so U.S. Treasuries, right, they're just a money printing tool of the fiat cartel. And, you know, what are they going to do when BRICS starts dumping all their U.S. treasuries, right? Who is going to buy these things? Who is going to pay for these treasuries that nobody wants when they have a currency backed by gold, right? Let's just like they're backing it by gold, probably Bitcoin eventually. But they're going to be in a much stronger position, and their currency is going to be much stronger than the U.S. dollar, right? Saudi Arabia, right? BRICS, Russia, all of them are competing now with the dollar. And when that rug gets pulled, it is going to be a bad day for Americans who have relied on the dollar their entire life, right? And think it's like the holy grail of you know, protecting our wealth. But in fact, like the dollar has like extorted many other countries for a very long time, right? And so that is coming back to us eventually in the form of probably hyperinflation. And so when that happens, I don't know, but treasuries are a rug. If you own treasuries, you're probably not going to make it.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Well, there's Opti. That's actually a really like what G just brought up. Like that's a really important point. Is like interest rates don't dictate the prices of the treasuries going up. Like that's the market, right? So like that's another chink in the model that we just heard you read out. It's like they're banking on the treasuries being at 0% interest rates, but then like are they also banking on the treasuries going up in price at that point too? Like if everybody, if interest rates are going up, but people like everybody is dumping treasuries at the same time, like their entire system, and that's a problem for the average American.
Well, and the funny thing too is that's what corporate America relies on for their treasury assets, right? They buy treasuries to like fund their assets, and so if they don't like start putting some Bitcoin on their balance sheet, like they're going to slowly erode their entire worth of their company.
And that and G right there, that's a good thing we can plug Greg Foss and Dom Bay. Like they're talking about the Bitcoin, I think it's the Bitcoin portfolio like strategy or something like that.
Nakamoto portfolio, I think.
Nakamoto portfolio, yes, where they're talking about getting pensions to get a little bit of exposure to Bitcoin to try and, because like pensions, like if you've heard Greg Foss talk about, pensions are usually like the dumbest of the money. Like they're buying up a lot of this debt, a lot of these treasuries, and they rely on it. And like that's one thing I don't want to see is like our like American pensioners that are relying on it getting just absolutely obliterated. That'd be terrible. Like we don't want to see that.
Couldn't agree more. Well, let's get into this article that went viral over the weekend, Mike. And I'm excited to have G Money here because I think you two are going to have a great conversation about how do we get ourselves out of this corner right now? Because we know the process is the blueprint is simple, but the follow through is a lot harder than just saying it. And few people understand that we are turning around the Titanic right now of chaos. Anyways, let's get into the culture and we'll plug this article. And then I just want to hear you guys go back and forth right here on the solutions, because everyone knows the problem. I'm convinced everyone knows the problem, but few people understand the solution to what is actually happening here. So let's get into the culture, guys.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
All right, guys, before we get into this article, we're going to talk about Pacific Bitcoin Festival. This isn't a conference, it's a festival. October 5th through 6th in 2023 in Los Angeles. It's at a hangar. Again, the reason we're telling you this now, guys, is because they have a spring special pricing right now. These are the rock bottom prices. And I know you guys are going to complain again. When the festival comes around, you're going to be like, look, bro, the prices are too much. Get them today before the prices get up. If you're on the West Coast, you want to hang out with Bitcoiners, make it to the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. Go hang out there. They did an incredible job last year, and I'm convinced this year is probably going to be that much better. Anyways, as we told you guys, our boy Mike Hobart, toxic Bitcoiner on Twitter, went absolutely viral on Zero Hedge, and we did drop this article on our Substack. I think it was like a month ago or something like that.
Yep.
But without reading the whole article, just got the headline here, writing this cacophony of wrongs. And I want to read just this highlighted sentence right here. And then I'm going to let you guys kind of jump in on this. Actually, we'll give Mike, you give some context. And then I want to hear G Money's thoughts on this. So the quote here from the beginning of this article is how Americans have lost sight of what truly matters and how our uneducated and unfit masses continue to make decisions that enable their complacencies over doing what needs to be done in order to save the future of our country, for ourselves, and for our children. And I think that couldn't have been a better context for everything we were talking about here, because what's the Fed doing? They are getting complacent. They're kicking the can down the road, and they're avoiding the ripping of the Band-Aid, the hard things that need to be done. Anyways, Mike, give some context on this article, and then let's talk some solutions.
Well, the nice thing about this article and us talking about it is that Opti, you and I have been talking about all of these topics ad nauseum, like consistently over and over and over. Like what? So a lot of you guys that have heard me talking in spaces for the last like year, I've kind of taken it upon myself to be like that, like the orange pill Trojan horse into some of like the financial Twitter conversations. And this is precisely what this article was intended to be. Notice how I talk about, like, if like Opti's scrolling through here, like I talk about a lot of the macro issues that a lot of us understand. A lot of the American populace is extremely unhealthy and overweight, which you guys have heard me talk about ad nauseum. And a lot of the American, like we also are devoid of a lot of like the true role models as far as both masculine and feminine within the social, like the social kind of Overton window or structure. And so I talk about how like Americans need to get outside of this echo chamber and start looking at some of these external sources for education, and especially historical precedents, which is why I plugged in two of my favorite documentaries into this article, which makes me even more excited about it getting featured in Zero Hedge. Because All Wars Are Bankers' Wars is a great primer to a lot of these conversation points. Like there's a lot of historical context that's brought up that I don't know about you guys, but I did not ever hear when I was in high school or middle school. And then I also plugged in a heavyweight as far as documentaries go. I forced Opti to watch it over this weekend.
Blew my mind.
I forced it. We stopped when we were watching it. We're like, oh, dude, we've covered so much. Like if we were so deep in, we paused the video and we were 30 minutes in. It's a 3-hour long documentary. So like, I recommend everybody watch it, but like, if you need to take breaks, don't be embarrassed. But the fact that I got this into Zero Hedge with it was like 100,000 views earlier this morning, increasing the amount of people that are getting exposed to like how broken the fiat system is and how much they've played all sides of every war, which we all know. And like the fiat, the combination of the fiat hamster wheel, the military industrial complex, the central bankers playing every side of every war, just capitalizing off everybody's losses. It's disgusting. And then I get into how we like need to fix the education system. We need our parents to start doing better. But obviously we all know with the fiat hamster wheel, that's a little difficult with the number of parents or with the number of jobs that parents are holding out there. So like I plugged a little bit of a Bitcoin argument into this article as well. And I'm excited. I'm hoping that like this got like quite a few people like, you know, their minds turning and everything. And I just like, I'm just trying to give my contribute to getting this like bullish flywheel started so we can see some fireworks over the next 2 years.
Absolutely love it. Love to see Bitcoiners winning. Anyways, G Money, what's your thoughts on what Mike just said, or rather what Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin fixes this, and why you are a Bitcoiner?
Absolutely. Loved Mike's article. And so, yeah, guys, like, you know, he's right. All wars are banker wars, right? And so what's happened over time, right? The media propaganda, which is funded by the fiat cartel, right? They give money to the propaganda artists. They do a false flag, right? We get these events where, you know, someone gets assassinated, something happens. And then what do? The bankers fund both sides of the war. They put weapons in both sides' hands, right? And then we go out and we kill each other. And then what happens at the end of it, right? The bankers collect interest. They collect money. We're left with less freedom. We're left with repairing the damage. We're left with killed loved ones, injured loved ones. And so this war we are fighting flips that script. Okay, instead of putting weapons into our hands and having us go shoot each other, Bitcoin puts the weapon into everybody's hands, and we are now fighting the bankers directly. Okay, we have brought the war directly to their doorstep. Okay, 1776. What did 1776 start because of? It was a tax revolt. Okay, if you are still paying taxes as a Bitcoiner, I'm sorry, but you're a domesticated Bitcoiner. Okay, we are going to win this battle. We are going to win it peacefully. Okay, but a tax revolt is what's needed. And opt out of their game, of their system, will break their system to the fullest degree. Okay, you're not going to get any political or you're not going to win this war by voting in the system you're currently in, right? It has to be broken. There is a digital 1776, like I said, that is coming. And it is by self-custodying your Bitcoin. Okay, that is your weapon. That is how you protect your DNA as a human. We have been caught in this incentive structure of corruption our entire lives. That's why we're fat. That's why we're lazy. That's why we have to work 80 hours a week just to put food on the table and have a nice lifestyle, right? They have corrupted every single element of our being as a human, right? They put the jab into us. They've made us with toxic chemicals. They made us, they put it into the food system. They put it into the air above us. And so, we're not trying to get too conspiracy here, guys, but like, it's not hard to realize that every piece of the fiat mechanism is aimed directly at us. Okay, we need to turn those weapons back against the bankers and then end this once and for all. Because once we end this once and for all, humanity can do all sorts of wonderful ideas and things. And we are literally just on scratching the surface in this monetary thing. The monetary thing is actually kind of boring. Everything else after this and what this can provide to humanity as far as energy, as far as peace, as far as the utility for people to work together in a common goal without having the enemy always try to divide, conquer, and come up with this bullshit that we have to deal with every day. So,
hell yeah, dude. That was a rant.
Let's go. You know, when we bring guests on and it's a curveball, it's such good television. It's entertaining. Like, we couldn't have planned this better. We couldn't have planned this any better, because that's exactly what we talk about every single day. And I just always get inspired by bringing more and more Bitcoiners on the show, and all of us coming to the Schelling point. We all have the same understanding. It's like, look, the solution to this is very simple, guys. The problem, everyone knows what the problem is, but anyone that is a part of the corporate press always has what? Vote harder, bro. And it's just like, okay, all right. We understand that can't work. You can't fix the system from within the system. And G Money said something, which is a perfect segue before I give us to the next portion, which is the meme review. If you want to survive the great transition, you need to take your Bitcoin into self-custody. Go to bitplates.com, use the promo code simply, all caps, and you can get yourself a Bitplates Domino, highly coercion resistant 316L marine grade stainless steel. ASMR right here.
I was going to say, do the thing.
10% off Bitplates, guys. Don't keep your Bitcoin in your sock drawer in a piece of paper, because it's not going to survive, guys. We're going through a great transition, and you got to be prepared for this. But anyways, let's get to the meme review. This is your favorite portion of the show, where you send us memes and we review them live. All right, let's get into it, guys.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboom Racks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboom Racks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboom Racks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboom Racks.
Kaboom Racks. Kaboom. You already know the deal. Shouts out. I forget who it was, but someone said when it was pumping the other day, I saw the price of Bitcoin and I just thought, Kaboom Racks. All right, guys, this is the meme review. Tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery. As you can tell, if you watch this show more than once, we are in an information war, and it's upon every single one of you guys to spread the signal, to put out the calls of actions, to spread the memes, spread the truth. Make sure your friends and family understand what is going on, because they are getting gaslit, they are getting psyoped, and there's a $1 trillion campaign against the truth. And all we have to battle this is putting our hat in the ring and spreading what we know to be the truth. Anyways, this first meme is by Hodl X Hodl. And I knew we were going to get bullish today. I didn't know we were going to get this absolutely bullish today, but I had a feeling. And this first meme, it goes, it's a quote. It goes, Monday morning forecast on Bitcoin. And there is a huge storm here. It looks like a hurricane with the Bitcoin logo over it. And you are in the eye of the storm, guys. Do not forget that Bitcoin is taking over the world. The storm is upon the Fed's doorstep, the central fiat cabal's doorstep, and they're going to get taken to school. And I'm just hyped to be here with you guys in the front lines. Anyways, this next one is by @Cooligan_Fields. Shouts out to my brother out there, and he gets, I get a little fired up. Anyone else? #Bitcoin. And we got a monk here meditating in Bitcoin Zen, hodling his Bitcoin. And then we got Charlie Day right next to it, explaining Bitcoin, just losing his absolute mind. I know this is how we look to the uninitiated on today's show, but we really are. You know, I should be wearing my monk orange green, what do you call it, robe? No, it's not a robe. I don't know. Forgive me, guys. This next one I took from our Telegram group. I'm pretty sure V. Malar put it in our Telegram group. I tried to find it on your Twitter. Maybe he took it from someone. And I thought it was fitting for today, considering we were going to be talking about treasuries and the Fed and all this stuff. And we got a dude here, an average person here, and he's jumping off a cliff onto the other side of the cliff, and the Bitcoin logo's on the other side of the cliff, and the cliff's starting to crumble. And it goes, it is risky not to own Bitcoin. This is the view, guys. Look. Mike says this all the time. Mike's a little more of a sober Bitcoiner. I think me and G Money might be on the same vein, where we're just like radical Bitcoiners, extremist Bitcoiners here. And we're like, literally put your whole life savings into Bitcoin right now. But Mike's a little more sober. And so I'm going to take Mike's angle here. You just need to own some Bitcoin, guys. I don't care what percentage it is. You do what you want with your money, but you need to own some Bitcoin. It's risky not to own Bitcoin at this point in time. I'm wholly convinced of this. Anyways, this next meme is by the Bitcoin Company. Shouts out to my boys over at the Bitcoin Company. It goes, #Bitcoin. No one is immune to it. And we got Superman sitting here on a computer thinking about Bitcoin. Even Superman is not immune to Bitcoin and needs to hold some Bitcoin. He cannot even protect himself if he doesn't hold Bitcoin. Anyways, this next meme is by our boy, the BTC Therapist, absolutely slaying it for us. And he goes, this is the way, #BTC. And we got a picture of Princess Diana, and it goes, only do what your heart tells you. And then we got a picture down here in the bottom. It goes, a heart. Sell all of your fiat and live on a Bitcoin standard. And we got a Chad Bitcoin that goes, you got it, boss. Sell all of your stuff right now and go all in on Bitcoin. This is not financial advice, but it kind of is. Anyways, this next one is by Maxie's Club, and it goes 444 a signal. And there's a Pepe the Frog here, and he's opening up a fortune cookie, and he's sweating and he's concerned. He goes, you should have bought Bitcoin under 20K, and now you're absolutely devastated because you're still on the sidelines waiting for 20K again. What is wrong with you? Okay, this next one is @VivicForReal_ on Twitter, and it goes, they just don't know it yet. And considering everything we said on today's show, I kind of knew this one was going to be fitting. And we got a volcano over here, and the volcano exploding is Bitcoin. And we got a dinosaur at the bottom about to get wrecked by the lava. And the dinosaur is the IMF. The fiat cabal, the fiat matrix has no clue. Actually, I'll take that back. They have some clue that they are in a losing bet, hence why they are pushing a CBDC so hard.
Yeah.
And this is why we're winning, guys. Do not forget that you are winning so hard out there, and it's just beautiful to be a Bitcoiner. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat. Wait, that way, and we will review it live. Sorry, it's mirrored. Someone told me I need to do the mirror so you can see the Bitcoin logo, and it confuses me every time. Anyways, drop a meme review score in the chat, and I will cover it live. You guys already saw this one, but I hadn't seen it in the flesh yet. So shouts out to Dr. Albert. He made a little Opti voodoo doll, orange pill. Look, it's mini me. I got it. He
got the glasses and everything, and the hair.
Look at him. Dude, this guy's more handsome than I am. What's going on? Okay, all right. All right, Mike, drop your meme review score in the chat, or actually on the screen, and yeah, you know.
First,
by the way, that one guy's name was Pepe too.
Hey, let's go.
Before I drop mine, last time I checked, I think we were just shy of 100 likes. So if you're watching this, like, give us some likes to like boost the algo a little bit, like beat the fiat game at their own game. But so like the score I'm giving is a stack of Great American Mining stickers that I have left over from the old ancient OG miners back in the day.
It's not stay humble, stack sats. It's stay humble and stack gam stickers. All right, G Money, what's your meme review score?
So that one meme with the storm, right? The eye of the storm, as you talked about, right? So those that want to go back into history, Trump standing with a large group of military commanders says, what does this represent? And he says, maybe this represents the calm before the storm. Okay. Oof. They ask him, what storm, Mr. President? And he says, you'll find out. Okay. And so I believe we are in this storm, right? This is a storm. And what is going to be happening is a flood, right? A biblical flood is going to happen. And those with Bitcoin are the people on the ark. And so what I give it is a liberty on my AirPods to represent Bitcoin as freedom and power back to the people.
Let's go.
Sorry, Nico. I had to give him some bars. Okay, guys. Drop your meme review score in the chat, and I'll cover them live. We already got a few in here. Oh, again. All right, look. Copper Nixon. Tweet me on the timeline, and I'll make sure I have some music for tomorrow because I know you guys like the music. Okay, anyways, Bitcoin for Canadians. Nico's going to be in Canada tomorrow, so I don't know. Maybe you're going to catch him. Anyways, Bitcoin for Canadians. I give those memes a perfect storm for hyper-Bitcoinization sooner rather than later. Let's go. Okay. Let's see. Next one. HODLcoin. He goes, I give those memes a U.S. government bond ensuring futures taxation. You are the yield. Opt out. Oof. Yes. Ouch. Agreed. Okay. Rave Elevator. I score the memes. One whistling bottle rocket. Let's go, USA. Okay. All right. This next one. Elaine. Shouts out to Elaine. She goes, score pleb stack hard, HODL, and Bitcoiners take over the world in 2024. Let's go. Okay. Hammer Saw. I score the memes. Fiat whistling past the graveyard. Ooh. Metaphorical graveyard. But don't nuke us, YouTube. All right, this next one, Apollo 21. I give the memes my yellow tail dragger model airplane that's just itching to tow a banner for Bitcoin. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me see. You got me in trouble last week, so let me see if I can say this one. Okay, yeah, I could say this one. Okay, Opti, Jacob allowed me to hook up with Chrissy again. Score, hashtag Scrollgate, makes it 2-0 hedge. Journalists discover Opti and Chrissy's relationship. Opti becomes a famous influencer, and then he falls asleep and forgets to do SV. Wow, never gonna live that one up. Okay, you deserve real money. I score those memes. Looking forward to institutions buying higher and selling low next year. Let's go. All right, last one, guys. Hold on. This isn't the last one because it's the last one. It's the last one because there's a buzzer. Okay. Son of Satoshi, I give those memes. Rate limit reach, go touch grass. Oh, man.
That was a solid dig at Twitter, too.
Dude.
Nicely done, Andre.
Yeah,
Sons of Satoshi. It looked like Andre's picture for a second.
No punches pulled. Anyways, guys, this is an epic show. First, let's get Mike. Mike, thank you so much for filling in today. I'm always hyped when you fill in. We have good rapport. We always get super toxic on here, and we got a good balance because I go crazy and you kind of reel me back in. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. We'll get Mike back on here shortly. But Mike, what do you want to plug? What do you got over here? What are you working on?
Just like follow that link down below right there and just go check out my my Substack. That's really all I want to plug right now. I've been taking a little bit of a break, working on getting some more fiat funnels lined up so I can get some more Bitcoin stacked. And then between that and my working out stuff that you guys get to see and like all the writing that I put on my Substack, that like that I'm a busy dude. So like so far, just follow along and like I'll drop some surprise articles on you guys if you go to subscribe at my Substack.
Let's go, guys. For the audio listeners, that's justhearmeout.substack.com. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, Mike, jump in spaces and we'll continue this combo as I roll this one out. G Money, really appreciate you coming on. You absolutely slayed it on today's show. You said you were conspiratorial, but I think we were just spitting facts on today's show. So what are you working on? What do you want the people to go check out? Where can they find all the stuff you're working on right now?
Yeah, so go to Rumble and check out Rug Pull Radio. We're live every Thursday nights. We had Nico on a couple weeks ago. We've got some great guests. We'll have to have you guys on as well. But we bring absolute fire, right? We are the digital soldiers. We're looking for warriors. We are looking for people to really use Bitcoin to exploit their old system, right? And show us how we have the power. We can take the power back and we can win this battle. Also, if you guys are interested, I do some really deep dives into what's called rare Pepes. This isn't Pepe the coin, the shit coin. This is rare Pepe. I've done a dig called the Covfefe dig, which talks about a lot of the meetings possibly that correlates JFK with the Federal Reserve, with Trump, with some other interesting stuff that all have Bitcoin in the center of it as being the plan to save the world. So let's rock and roll. Appreciate all you guys. All you Bitcoiners are patriots. Happy 4th of July. Stay safe. And appreciate you guys having me on.
Let's go, guys. Man, I say it all the time with friends. And I say it all the time in Twitter spaces, but I am honored to be on the front lines with you in the media game because I really do think that people underestimate the importance of social media, the importance of spreading the message, of trying to do our part in waking people up. Yes, they don't listen. Yes, we're screaming into the void half the time, but we have the solutions, and it's only a matter of time until people wake up to everything that we're saying. And we'll be cordial. We won't say "I told you so," even though that's what we'll be thinking. But kudos to you, G Money. We'll see you in the trenches. If you want to join us on Twitter Spaces and continue the combo, I did send the link in the private chat. Come hang out with us we'll be going till about 2 p.m. Eastern. So we got it running right now. But anyways, we'll see you soon, bro. Really appreciate it. All right, guys, you already know the deal. It's Monday. Not only did we get bullish, but I think we got a little patriotic today. I think we got a little bit of the oorah energy for you guys today. So I hope you guys are bullish. I hope you guys get outside this week. It is 4th of July. Go outside. Go hang out with your friends and family. Eat some good food. And as I was telling Jacob in the Twitter Spaces earlier, we will be doing a show tomorrow. We won't be doing a spaces, so we'll just be live on YouTube. We'll be back on Thursday. Nico will be back on Thursday. I'll be hosting the show until Wednesday. The show don't stop. We do this live. The signal don't stop. So tune in tomorrow. Tune in Wednesday on YouTube, and we'll make sure we get you guys going to your barbecues and hanging out with your friends and family and just got that bullish Bitcoin energy for the 4th of July. All right, guys, of course, we are also on audio-only platforms, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and a part of the value for value economy on Fountain. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Spread all the Bitcoin signal. Come join us in our Telegram group, t.me/simplybitcoin. Tag me on Twitter for the memes, and we'll get in touch with you guys later. If you guys ain't got nothing going on for the rest of the day, come hang out with us on Twitter Spaces. We are live right now. We'll see you next time, guys. Until then, it's your boy Opti, and we are Simply Bitcoin. Peace out. All right, guys. All right. So give me a second, guys. It's always, hold on. I forget. It's always a little clunkier when I'm hosting the shows and doing the spaces and the production all at once. So you already know the deal. Give me a second. Let me make sure that this YouTube is completely rolled out. I think there's a lag. I think we're lagging a